Hello and welcome to Impact History. Imagine this, England 1215. Imagine a land ruled by a king, his power seemingly absolute, stretching across the green hills and bustling towns, a time of knights and castles, but also of simmering discontent. In a sunlit meadow called Runnymede, nestled beside the River Thames, King John faces a group of powerful, angry barons. The air is thick with tension, the fate of the kingdom hanging in the balance. This isn't a friendly gathering, it's a confrontation. The barons aren't here for tea. They've come prepared, clad in armour, their faces grim and determined. They represent the collective frustration of a land weary of unchecked royal power. They're demanding the king follow rules, not just his own whims. They seek justice, fairness, and a limit to the king's authority, a concept almost unheard of at the time. They are challenging the very foundation of royal power. For centuries, kings did as they pleased. Their word was law, their decisions final. Royal power was considered divinely ordained, unquestionable, and absolute, taking money, often arbitrarily and excessively, filling the royal treasury at the expense of the common people and even the nobility, imprisoning rivals, silencing dissent, and eliminating anyone who dared to question their authority, often without trial or justification, ruling by decree. Laws were simply pronouncements from the throne, subject to the king's ever-changing moods and desires. There was no system of checks and balances, no recourse for those who suffered under unjust rule. But these barons have had enough. They've endured years of heavy taxation, arbitrary imprisonment, and the king's disregard for their traditional rights and privileges. Their patience has finally run out. They want the king to obey the law too. They believe that even the monarch should be subject to a higher authority, a system of rules and principles that protect the rights of all, not just the king. Their weapon? A document called Magna Carta, a carefully crafted list of demands and principles designed to limit the king's power and protect their rights. The Great Charter, a symbol of hope for a more just and equitable future, a testament to the power of collective action against tyranny. King John, out of options, surrounded by his enemies and facing the threat of open rebellion, reluctantly seals the document, adding his royal seal to the parchment, not out of belief, not out of a sudden change of heart, but because he's cornered. He sees it as a temporary setback, a necessary concession to avoid immediate disaster. This wasn't a gift to the people. It wasn't an act of benevolence or a genuine desire to improve the lives of his subjects. It was a desperate compromise, a strategic maneuver to buy time and maintain his grip on power, however tenuous it may be. The Magna Carta mostly protected the barons and the church, safeguarding their feudal rights and privileges, ensuring their continued influence and wealth. But it planted seeds of justice and limits on power. It introduced the radical idea that even the king was not above the law, a concept that would slowly but surely transform the political landscape. It was the first time a king was forced to admit he wasn't above the law. A monumental step towards a more just and equitable society, even if its immediate impact was limited. The scene at Runnymede was tense, a clash of wills and a struggle for power that would resonate through the centuries. But it marked the start of a new idea, the beginning of a long and arduous journey towards constitutional government and the protection of individual liberties. Rulers must answer to rules, that power should be constrained by law, and that even the most powerful individuals are accountable for their actions. The Magna Carta's promise would echo through history, inspiring countless movements for freedom and justice around the world, shaping the rights and freedoms we value today. From the right to a fair trial to the principle of no taxation without representation, its influence is undeniable. It was a turning point, a pivotal moment in the history of democracy and the rule of law. Even if King John hoped to wriggle out of it later, even if he secretly plotted to undermine its principles and reclaim his absolute power. The barons' bold stand in that meadow changed the world, setting in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to greater freedom and justice for all. The Magna Carta wasn't perfect, it didn't solve all the problems of the time, and its benefits were initially limited to a select few. But it was revolutionary in its core principle. It showed that even the most powerful could be held to account, that no one, not even a king, is above the law. That summer's day, a very bad king, a ruler known for his cruelty and tyranny, ironically helped create a very good idea, an idea that would eventually transform the world. And the world would never be the same. The seeds of liberty had been sown, and the long struggle for a more just and equitable world had begun. Why did the barons turn on King John? Simple. He was a disaster. He lost wars, squandered money, and taxed his nobles into misery. John invented new taxes like scutage and punished those who couldn't pay by seizing their lands. He even fought with the Pope, getting excommunicated and plunging England into religious chaos. The barons felt bullied and robbed, their rights trampled. They didn't want a new king, just a fair one who respected their ancient privileges. The Magna Carta was their way to force John to play by the rules. It was a demand for respect, not just for themselves, but for the law itself. The Magna Carta, a document penned centuries ago, might seem filled with antiquated language and concerns that are far removed from our modern lives. Its intricate details may seem odd today, filled with references to feudal obligations and long-forgotten customs. But buried within those archaic clauses, a few rules emerged that would fundamentally change everything about the relationship between rulers and the ruled. These weren't just minor adjustments, they were seismic shifts in power. Let's examine Clause 39. This clause declared that no free man could be imprisoned, exiled, or punished in any way without a fair trial by his peers or by the law of the land. This was an early, rudimentary, but incredibly important form of due process. It established the principle that even the most powerful individuals were entitled to a fair hearing before being deprived of their liberty or property. This fundamentally meant the king or any ruler couldn't simply jail people on a whim, based on personal feelings or political expediency. There had to be a legal basis, a proper procedure. Now let's turn our attention to Clause 12. This clause stipulated that no new taxes could be levied without the consent of the realm. This meant no more endless, arbitrary demands for money from the king, enriching the crown at the expense of the people. These revolutionary ideas laid the groundwork for the development of Parliament, a representative body that would have a say in matters of taxation and governance. It enshrined the fundamental principle of no taxation without representation, a concept that would later fuel revolutions and shape democratic societies around the world. The Magna Carta also went a step further, establishing a council of barons tasked with the responsibility to keep the king in check, ensuring he adhered to the Charter's provisions. This was a truly radical move for its time. For the first time in English history, the king, the ultimate authority, could be held accountable by his subjects, a concept that challenged the very foundations of monarchy. While these rules primarily benefited the free men and barons of the time, and didn't immediately extend to everyone in society, such as the serfs and peasants, they nevertheless started a slow but inexorable revolution in the very concept of justice and fairness. The Magna Carta's core message, the idea that the law is above even the king, was a truly transformative concept. That revolutionary idea, once planted, would outlast any single ruler, any single dynasty, and continue to shape the course of legal and political thought for centuries to come. At first glance, the Magna Carta's future seemed bleak. Its lofty ideals, enshrined on parchment, appeared destined to be nothing more than forgotten words. King John, a monarch known for his ruthlessness and disregard for the law, simply ignored it, viewing it as an unacceptable constraint on his power. This blatant defiance plunged England into a period of intense civil war as barons fought to uphold the principles they had so painstakingly negotiated. But fate, as it often does, intervened. John's death, while a tragedy for the monarchy, inadvertently breathed new life into the Charter's prospects. His young son, Henry III, inherited the throne, but lacked the authority and experience to quell the ongoing unrest. Wise advisors, recognizing the need for stability, made a strategic decision. They reissued the Magna Carta, hoping to appease the rebellious barons and restore peace to the war-torn kingdom. Over time, the Magna Carta evolved from a mere peace treaty into a powerful bargaining chip in the complex game of medieval politics. Subsequent kings, often in need of financial or military support from their barons, were compelled to reaffirm the Charter, confirming its principles in exchange for much-needed loyalty and resources. Each confirmation solidified its place in English law and custom. Slowly but surely, the principles enshrined in the Magna Carta began to spread beyond the narrow circle of powerful barons, gradually expanding rights and protections to a wider segment of society. As society underwent profound transformations with the rise of towns, the growth of commerce, and the emergence of new social classes, The Magna Carta's protections, initially intended for a select few, reached an ever-increasing number of people. But the Magna Carta's influence wasn't confined to the shores of England. Its ideas, carried across the vast expanse of the ocean, took root in the hearts and minds of English settlers in America, who demanded the same rights and liberties that were enjoyed back home. This yearning for self-governance and the protection of individual rights ultimately fueled the flames of the American Revolution. The Magna Carta's enduring spirit served as a guiding light for the Founding Fathers as they crafted the Declaration of Independence and later the Bill of Rights, cornerstones of American democracy. Its principles have resonated across continents, inspiring the development of modern democracies worldwide, where the rule of law and the protection of individual liberties are considered fundamental. The Magna Carta has transcended its historical context, becoming a potent symbol of the fundamental principle that even the most powerful rulers and institutions must be subject to the law, ensuring accountability and preventing tyranny. The Great Charter's ripples continue to be felt in the 21st century, shaping legal systems and inspiring countless individuals in their ongoing fight for justice, equality, and freedom around the globe. Its legacy is undeniably global, a testament to the enduring power of ideas and the unwavering pursuit of a more just and equitable world. Imagine if the Magna Carta had never existed. England might have become a land of absolute monarchs with no parliament or rights for the people, or what if it had granted rights to everyone, not just the elite? Social change could have come centuries sooner. If King John had honoured the Charter, history might have been more peaceful, but perhaps less inspiring. The Magna Carta's struggle and survival made it legendary. Its imperfect birth forced future generations to fight for justice. History isn't inevitable. It's shaped by bold choices and hard-won victories. The Magna Carta's story proves that even flawed beginnings can spark world-changing ideas. Today, the Magna Carta is more than parchment in a museum. Its spirit, the rule of law, remains the foundation of democracy and justice. When people demand rights or protest injustice, they echo those barons at Runnymede. The Magna Carta taught us to question authority and defend our freedoms. Its legacy lives on in constitutions, courts, and human rights movements worldwide. The fight for justice continues, inspired by that big promise made in a meadow long ago. The Magna Carta reminds us liberty and justice are rights, not gifts from rulers. Thank you again for watching Impact History, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Leave a comment for any suggestions you have so that we can further explore history together.